All right, here's this week's Torah portion, Parshas SHMINI. SHMINI. SHMINI means the number 8. We talked about this in the Sikha that we learned from the Rebbe, what the Kli Yakar says. So here we're going to see it firsthand. Shalom uvracha. Shalom. All right, here we have a story. This week's Torah portion, there's 3 outstanding things that happen in this week's Torah portion. We'll see that there's actually more. But one of them is that it's the 8th day, which this is the day that comes after the 7 days of preparation, inauguration, I don't know what they call it. 7 days of preparation of the Holy Temple. There had to be 7 days of preparing it. And each day they brought Aaron and his sons, they brought special sacrifices. And then on the last day, after the 7 days, then the tabernacle started working. The Jewish people started to bring sacrifices for it. And this is what this is talking about. But it calls it the 8th day. 8th day. The reason because it came as a continuation of the first 7 days, but really it wasn't. There was no special. Nothing was commanded to do 8 days. There was no commandment to do something for 8 days. This is the 8th day. The commandment was to prepare the temple. This in this case was the tabernacle in the desert for 6 days. For 7 days. For 7 days. That was the commandment. And the day after that really should be called the first day of but it's called the 8th day. Why? So we talked about that a little bit in the morning, but let's continue over here. Here we go. Shalom uvracha. Shalom. Welcome. All right, here we have Vayihi b'yom HaShmini. And it was on the 7th day. And this is a continuation to what we said in last week's Torah portion, that there were 7 days that they, let's see, do we have it? No, we don't have it. That the 7 days of preparation of the temple, they had to bring the preparation sacrifices. And it came out on the 8th day, that God called Moses, even though it doesn't say who called Moses, Korah Moshe, I'm sorry, that Moses called to Aaron and his sons and to the elders. Moses called to all elders. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. This is not God calling to Moses. This is Moses calling to Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. And what did he say to them? Vayomer al Aaron, he said to Aaron, Kach lecha egel, take a calf, ben bakar, a male calf, and for what's called a chattas offering, and an ayil, a ram, for a complete offering, and sacrifice it in front of God. That's what he said. Now, we're going to see, as it continues on, that there's going to be the 2 big surprises in this week's Torah portion. The first one is Aaron's 2 sons, Nadav and Avihu, that they couldn't hold themselves back and they rushed into the Holy of Holies. They wanted to serve God so badly, and they died this strange death. It says we'll learn about it. And then after that, amazingly, are the laws of what animals are kosher and what animals are not kosher, which is not so exciting as this. The 2 sons of Aaron, they were famous people. Aaron was the high priest. These were his sons. They were the chosen ones after him. Special Kohen priestly family. And they were killed in front of everybody's eyes. Everyone saw it. And then after that, it talks about which animals are kosher and which animals are not kosher. So it's a little bit seemingly anticlimactic, but we'll see that it's not. So let's start from the beginning, okay? Now we have the sacrifices that are brought on the first day that the tabernacle is open for serving God. Before that, it was preparation days. So we'll probably only learn about the 2 sentences, but we'll see. We'll see. But let's at least do a couple of them so we put it in the proper perspective. And it was on the 8th day, and it was after the 7 days of preparation, that Moses called to Aaron and his sons and to the elders of Israel, Why did he have to call to the elders of Israel? We'll see. And what did he tell them? He said to Aaron, take a calf, a male calf for a sin offering, and an aisle, a ram for an olah, and sacrifice it in front of God. That was what Aaron did. And then to the Jewish people, tell them that they should take a goat for a sin offering, and also a egel and a kevis, and a calf and a sheep, 1 year old, and an ox and a ram for a shlomim offering. It's called a peace offering, that the owners also eat part of it. The sacrifice in front of God, and a mincha, a bread offering, a meal offering, which is filled with oil, because today God is going to appear to you. Well, today is going to be the day that the tabernacle is open. What was the date of this day? What was the date of this day? We'll see. Just one moment. But what is the date? How long was this? When did this happen? So let's look at Rashi. SHMINI. It was the 8th day after the 7 days of the preparation days. What date was it? It was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It was the first day of the month of Nisan. This is the second year that the Jews came out of Egypt, right? When they came out of Egypt, what was the date? Remember, we just celebrated that just now, the 15th day of Nisan. And they received the Torah 50 days later on the 6th day of the month of Sivan. Sivan is the 3rd month of the Jewish year. First month is Nisan. And then they sinned with the golden calf, and etc. And finally, they received the second tablets on 120 days later, after they received the Torah. Moses broke the tablets, right? So they received the Torah. Finally, the second tablets, which those were complete on Yom Kippur. And it waited, Yom Kippur, and then it waited a half a year until the tabernacle was built. So the tabernacle was built just like 10 days, 15 days shy of a year, first anniversary of them leaving Egypt. Shehukam Mishkan, that was the day that the Mishkan was set up. Penatal Yud Atarot, and it took 10 crowns, Hashinuid, which those are taught in a book called Seder Olam. So on this day, it says it took 10 crowns. What are these 10 crowns, special days? So I'll tell you what they are. Number one, this happened to be Sunday. The Sunday is the first day of the creation of the world, right? Anniversary. So that's number one. Number two, it's the first day that the 12 tribes began to bring sacrifices. This is the day that Yehuda, the tribe of Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminadav, he brought his sacrifice. Remember, he was the one that jumped first into the Yam Suf, into the splitting of the sea. So that's two things. Third thing, the Shekhinah, God's presence was revealed there. That's pretty important. First time God's presence was ever revealed to the Jews, all the Jews, in the Holy Temple, of course. This was the tabernacle, which was the same thing as the Holy Temple. This is Oseli Mikdash v'Shachanti b'Tocham. The tabernacle was also called a Holy Temple. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing. This was the first day that it was forbidden for people to make sacrifices in their backyards, wherever they wanted. It used to be that Jewish people could make a thing called a bama. Bama was a person could make his own free will offerings to God if he wanted to. Build a little altar in your backyard, whatever, and make an offering to God. You could do that. That you could do until the tabernacle was built. As soon as the tabernacle was built, it was forbidden to do. You couldn't do it anymore. And when they came into the land of Israel, though, it was permissible for them for the first 14 years. And then when Shiloh was built, that lasted like 369 years, it was forbidden. And then afterwards, there were two more places where the Holy Temple stood for a while, short while, and then it was also again permissible. And then when King Solomon, this was all in the time of the judges. And then when King Solomon built the first temple, that's it. There weren't any more almost. But this is the first time that it was forbidden, when the tabernacle was made forbidden to build bamot. Bamot means a personal altar. Couldn't do it anymore. And that was number 4. Number 5. It was the first day that the Kohanim worked in the temple. Before that, it was supposed to be the firstborn. And God, after the sin of the golden calf, so God said, forget it. No more firstborn or no longer. You sinned with the golden calf, you're out. And it says that, therefore, from then he chose the Levi. It seems that the Levites and the Kohanim come from the Levites. They did not worship the golden calf, because God commanded them to kill everybody who did. Vav, 6th thing, it was the first day that the Kohanim, the priests, made a blessing to the people. They blessed the people. 6th thing. 7th thing, it was, of course, the first day that they really started serving the community. The Jewish people started to bring sacrifices in the temple. Before that, there was no such thing. There was private offerings people could make on their own, but there would be communal offerings. This is the first time that it happened. It was on this date, the first day of Nisan, the beginning of the 2nd year that they left Egypt. 7th thing is the first day of the service at the temple. First day of the service. It's the beginning of the months. Rishon Lachem. This is the month of Nisan, first month of the year. That's number 8. Number 9. It's the first that holy things were eaten. Achilas Kodshim. It's the first day that things were eaten. Now this might seem to be a sort of a secondary thing. It's part of the service in the temple. But you have to remember that when the Jewish people left Egypt, it was an amazing revelation of godliness in Egypt. The God himself, not an angel. You know what an angel is? I have no idea, but it says if you saw an angel, if a person sees an angel, he would go crazy. It's so incredibly real. And it said that when God took the Jews out of Egypt, he didn't do it by means of an angel. He did it himself, personally. So that was a revelation of godliness. How did it happen? When the Jewish people ate the Korban Pesach, when they ate the Pesach offering, everybody sacrificed it. They didn't sacrifice it. Everybody just slaughtered it and ate it in their home. They ate the whole thing. Everything was eaten. It was not sacrificed. But this idea of eating and becoming holy by means of eating, this was the first time it ever happened. Usually a person wants to get holy, so he goes up on a mountain, he fasts somewhere, and he separates himself from the world and tries to emphasize his soul and de-emphasize his body. And here the Jewish people ate. And not only that did they eat, but they had to eat the Pesach offering after the meal, when they were already satisfied. Snechal sova. It had to be. So this was an unusual thing, eating. And this was a preparation, a precursor for the eating that the Kohanim did and also the owners did in the temple, eating. So this is the first day that holy things were eaten, communal offerings were eaten by the Jewish people. Number 10, the last one, it was the first day that fire came down. And if you remember, we said that in the first temple, there was fire in the shape of a lion that used to devour the sacrifices. You don't see that every day. That's what it was in the Holy Temple. So there were these 10 amazing miracles that occurred on this day first time, and or they symbolize some special first things, right? It was Sunday, first day of creation. It was the first day that the heads of the tribes made their sacrifices. The first day that the Shekhinah came down. The first day that the Bamas, private altars, were forbidden. The first day that the Kohanim worked. The first day that they made blessings. The first day that the congregation brought offerings for what's called the communal service of God. It was the first of the months, the first to eat, eating of sacrifice the first day, and it was the first day that fire came down. But the 10 special things. This is the day also, but you're going to see this is the day that also none of an Avihu got killed. So it was a big tragedy and that they got killed. And we'll learn about that in this week's Torah portion. And finally, the last thing of the Ziknei Israel. So Moses went into the, it says, Moses called to Aaron and his sons, Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, Itamar. And it says, and also to the elders of Israel. What did he have to call the elders of Israel for? Why? It says, LaHashmiim, in order to let them know, Shal Pia Dubra, honor Aaron Nichnas, that Aaron went into the holy temple by the commandment of God. And also to let them know that Aaron was going to be the high priest. So people won't say, well, listen, Moses, he was the leader, so he just appointed his brother, or Aaron just just dragged along. Went in there. Moses was great. Aaron was also pretty great, so he just went in. He called the elders to tell them that Aaron was chosen by God. Here's an interesting thing. Baal HaTurim says, Vayihi bayom HaShMINI kara Moshe. He counted up all the letters, the numerical value of all the letters, and it came out with the Gematria. Gematria is the numerical value of the letters, and it came out the same value as, ready, Bayom Rosh Chodesh Nisan, on the day of the first day of Nisan, the beginning of the month of Nisan. Omer Moshe said, Lefishe Siravti Zayin. Moshe said, because I refused to serve God, I refused to do what God wanted. When did Moses refuse to do what God wanted? 7 days. When? At the burning bush. It says that when Moses saw the burning bush, so he said he took off his shoes and he turned to see. And God said, take off your shoes. And then God said, okay, Moses, that's it. You're going to take the Jews out of Egypt. And Moses said, what did you say there? What did you say there, God? He said, here it is. This is the big day, Moses. You're going to take the Jews out of Egypt. And he said, maybe you're thinking about another Moses. There's Moses Hirschberg, Moses, a lot of different other Moses. God said, no, you're the Moses. I want you. No, come on. Take the Jews out of Egypt. I said, I don't think. Listen, let me think about it. I don't really think so. God said, no, you have to. So 7 days it went like this, and Moses refused to do what God wanted, to take the Jews out of Egypt. He said, listen, I'm gonna just mess the whole thing up. You want to take the Jews out of Egypt? I mean, I also want them to go out, but not through me. It says you're going to see it's you're really going to be disappointed. And God had to bring all sorts of arguments. He argued with Moses 7 days, and because Moses refused for 7 days, Lokach, therefore, lo zechiti l'shamesh ela zayin. Therefore, I am only going to serve God only on this one day, Zion, only on the 7th day, and that's when what did he do? What did he start? What did he serve? He called. I'm sorry. He served only 7 days. Moses did all of the work to prepare the temple, to prepare the tabernacle. He did all the work. After he finished the 7 days, so God said, okay, that's the 7 days. You made it up. How you disappointed me over there with the the bush. That's it. You only serve 7 days. You want to serve more? Moses said, yeah, I'd like to. It's too bad. You're not going to serve anymore. Now it's going to be Aaron. He says, why can't I serve more? He said, because you refused 7 days, so therefore I'm giving you these 7 days just to fix yourself up, but you're not going to get any more. Right, this is a very interesting HaChiam over here, but I don't want to take too much time in it. He asked the question, why does it say Vayehi? Anytime it says the word Vayehi, it always means trouble. Vayehi b'yamei Achashverosh. And he goes into a whole explanation of what it is as an argument in the Gemara, that sometimes the word Vayehi is used for good and sometimes it's used for bad. It says, why does it say Vayehi? In Masechet Megillah, it says, Rabbi Levi, that this shows that from the Anshe Knesset Gadol, it says anytime it says Vayehi, it means that something bad is going to happen. He says, well, maybe it was talking about that his 2 sons were killed. Okay, but that's true, that did happen. But on the other hand, it was a wonderful thing. Opened up the temple. We had all these 10 wonderful things I just read you about that happened. So there happened one bad thing, but that doesn't overshadow all of the rest. There's no reason to say Vayehi, that it was bad. So he says, maybe you can say like this, that the Tsar Shiyagira Katuv, what was the bad thing that happened is that Moshe, because Moshe, it says, when Moshe saw his greatness and the greatness of Aaron and his sons, and you could learn that he was very jealous. Why? Because Moses' sons did not really reach the same level. Ma'osim and Ma'aseh Banav Shel Shimon HaTzadik says, Yishtane ma shelefanenu she'ayta lo zarach harav. So it says, maybe we can say that was what was so, the pain, this Vayehi, is that Moshe saw that everything was going to be done by means of Aaron and his sons. And because his sons didn't really meet the grade. And he says, and maybe we can, this pain was hinted at what it says, Vayehi b'yom kalot Moshe. Shu atzmo yom zeh. That Moshe kalot Moshe, that he finished making the tabernacle, but kalot means that he finished. Moshe saw that he was finished and he couldn't do. Maybe that's the reason why he was so Vayehi. Moshe was so sad on that day. Okay. And here we can go a little bit further. This is the Kli Yakar that the Rebbe talked about. Let's look over here, but we learned this in the morning. Said, why does it say Yom HaShmini when there was no such thing as an 8th day? There was a commandment to prepare 7 days. There was no such thing as it. What's this 8th day? They prepared for 7 days, and then there was a first day. Afterwards, the first day of the service. What's this 8th day? So it says it's coming to tell you that because of these 7 days, that they're like the days of the week. And the number 8, this is much higher. This is infinitely higher than number 8. He says that's the reason that the circumcision is on the 8th day, and that pushes away the Shabbat. That on the 7 days, because the spiritual pushes away the physical. This is, we learned in the Sikha in the morning. If you want to, you can look in it. But here's an interesting thing. He says, Kli Yakar. This hints at what the rabbis say, the kinor shel mot Mashiach, the harp of the Mashiach will be 8 strings. And the harp of the world to come, which that's usually the raising of the dead, will be 10 strings. Because the completion of the Mashiach, when the glory of Hashem will be revealed and all flesh will see that God is creating the world, that's what's called the oneness of God that rides over the 7 days of creation. That, by the way, is the secret of what it says, Az Yosher Moshe of Israel. Az is Ayin Aleph Zion, is the Aleph, the oneness of God, which is on top of the Zion, which is number 7 days of creation. So it's above creation. That's the number 8. That's what he hinted at by this circumcision. Manhi olam hazeh, the olam above, but in the future, and that's the hinted at the number 8. The number 8 is that there's going to be one that's higher than the whole entire creation. That's 8. What about 10? It says Avobad Olam Abba, in the world to come, that then will be Muvshatim Yachomer, then there won't be any physicality at all. In other words, the physical world will be here, but it won't be physical, it'll be pure godliness. We'll see it. Then Yitfosev then will be added on 3. Hasagash Yakiru Koach Malchuto, then everyone will recognize intellectually, conceptually, everyone will grasp the oneness of God's kingship on everything. And therefore, this is all the creation, this is in the secret of number 9. Like it says, the Besod Aaron Tet Ukaporet Tefach. Like it says, the Aaron was 10 Tefachim, was 9, and the top of it was another one. Va'az, then Shmini, then the number 8, which that's the idea of Mashiach, will raise up to the number 10. Why? Because there'll be 2 aspects of intellect that will be revealed. Chachma and Bina will be revealed. That's all the 10 spherot. Okay, and therefore that's the hint. Yom Shmini says that's why it says that this 8th day took 10 crowns. So it hints at the number 8, which is going to be the revelation of the days of the Mashiach, and the number 10, which is going to be the revelation and the raising of the dead. To tell you that there is something, that's what happened when the tabernacle was built. It was something like the world to come, because then you'll see the glory of Hashem eye to eye, like it says, Ki hayom Hashem nir'ah lechem. That's what it says over here. On this day, God will appear to you. This here. Ki hayom, because on this day, Hashem nir'ah lechem, God will appear to you. That ends today's class. God willing, tomorrow we will continue. Have a good day with Mashiach now.